topic was comparing autobiographical Holocaust literatures, the book Mouse and the book Night, and it was a group one literature project.
And how did you decide to do that?
At the time when we were finding our topics for our EEs, we were reading the book Mouse, which is a graphic novel, in our English class, and I'm really interested in the Holocaust, so I decided to use what we were learning in school and incorporate that into my EE.
What would you say is different about choosing a group 1 topic than the other ones? Like, did you have to do as much research?
Yeah. Group 1 involves less research than the other groups because you just use the novels that you're reading. So in a sense, it's not a less amount of work, but it's easier because you don't have to go and find all those sources on Questia and things like that.
So it's less research, but more...
Less research, but more like analytical quotes. You're pulling quotes directly from the books rather than articles or journals that you found on Questia or something like that. So.
Okay. And then if you do group 1 and you haven't read the book, so it might be more reading of literature, right?
Yes. If you haven't read the books, like, for example, I read Night in 10th grade, so I had to go back and reread it a little bit just to kind of get the general idea and find quotes that I liked. But if you haven't read the novels, that's okay. You can read them. I mean, you have a lot of time, so.
Okay.
My topic was how did the dystopias in George Orwell's 1984 and the dystopia in Chan Kun Chung's The Fat Years compare through the lens of cultural influence regarding symbolism and motif.
Okay, so that is a comparative literature.
Yeah, comparing two different pieces of literature from two different cultures.
Did you have to do any research, or how is it different from some of the other topics your classmates chose?
It's different in that you don't actually have to do too much outside research because it's really analyzing the two texts that you have, so just the two books. And mostly what I did was, I did do a little outside research though, just kind of seeing how other people interpreted certain things. Like, I found a really interesting article about how the way that George Orwell in 1984 portrays nature, it's kind of like in the future, like there's a separation between like humans and nature, and like we're not that like natural creatures anymore, we're more like machines, stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting, and I was able to use that in my essay.
So what advice do you have for people that choose to do a comparative literature paper?
I think my best piece of advice, and the most important, is kind of choose the pieces of literature that are from kind of very different cultures. So if the cultures are too similar, you start kind of repeating yourself. There might not be as many differences and there might be too many similarities. So if you want to do something comparing different cultures regarding literature, I would do something kind of very different. Like for mine, it was between Western and Eastern culture. So it was a lot easier to find differences and kind of see how the very different cultures influence the literature itself.